And welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with Daniel.
And Daniel.
And today we are going to do another one of our Chits and Giggles discussion topics. This comes after we took a quick break.
Yeah. So we tried recording on Monday, the Klaus Torber thing, but there is a bit of an issue. You started a new job for one. Congratulations.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, so our filming schedule may be altered because of that.
Yeah, and then which changes things for us, not just because of the filming schedule, as you hear thunder rolling through my house. Mondays, as well as tends to be your wife works late that day.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of demand on the internet, so it's going to be a little bit harder for us to stream at night, like we are right now. As you can see, we're having a bit of issues with the video quality.
Right. So we're just going to have to play it by ear and see how it works out. This upcoming Friday, we won't be filming. I already know that. It is my son's birthday, so I will be celebrating that with him. And, so just as a heads up for everybody, we won't be filming this upcoming Friday, but we'll be back next week at some other new schedule, either earlier or later. We're not sure yet.
Yeah. If we do earlier, it might be less taxing on the internet.
Yep.
Later might be easier on both of us. The only problem is, with later, it's the peak hours, so everybody's on the internet.
Right, exactly. So we'll see how it ends up working.
Monsoon, so.
Right. And because rain happens and, decides to throw shenanigans into the list while we're at it. So, anyway, let's just get into this. No more excuses. We asked the audience one simple question. What are your exceptions to the rule? And Daniel, you're the one who came up with this idea, which I love this idea. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I really do enjoy this idea. It's just because there's a lot of games, styles that I don't like. But there's very few that actually surpasses that where I can still play them.
Right. And I thought about it on both ends, too, because as soon as you told me about this, of course I came with, it's like, oh, what are games that I normally shouldn't like, but I do like and I have in my collection for one reason or another. And then it started making me think, it's like, what are games that I should have liked that really fell under my preference? And so I have a couple of those even that I'm going to be talking about.
So yeah, this is one of the really easy ones to come up with. Actually, because we came up with it when we also did the last week's games that don't get enough love. I was able to fill both those out in that same day.
Yeah, mine was a lot harder, but I did come up with a few honorable mentions and my 3 examples for sure. And they will make a lot of sense as we go through them.
And as always, we asked on Board Game Revolution's Facebook group the same question, and we got actually a nice response to it.
Yeah, we had about 23 comments that we'll be going through right now. So,
but first, what have you been playing?
Oh, that's right. Yes, me and my son have been playing games lately. Specifically, we beat Toy Story, Obstacles and Adventures. All 6 adventures. We beat it.
Awesome.
And so let me tell you how it ends. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was fantastic. I told Daniel before, everything that Harry Potter Hogwarts battle does, that's kind of either like annoying or off balance or whatever, it's all fixed. All of it. I can't think of a single complaint. I couldn't think of complaints, of course, but we ended up beating the final 6 adventures. Absolutely fun time. My son loved it. We had a huge high five right at the end. We're like, yes, we destroyed it. It was fantastic. I highly encourage it for anybody who likes Toy Story or cooperative games, who's okay with Pixar. If you like any of that, then phenomenal game.
Can't even see it on the picture, just so you know.
Well,
you're pointing to it. I could see it in the little video chat I have, but you can't see it on the screen.
That's weird, but all right,
we'll
go with that.
Me myself, I haven't played any video or board games lately because I've been hanging out with the wife and we've been playing video games. So
yeah, I'm going to challenge you real quick. That I did get a game in the mail yesterday, and it was one that I needed for my collection. You know how we always challenge each other to say like complicated names?
No, you always challenge me.
Well, I give you opportunities for having to pronounce it. Go ahead and pronounce this guy.
Hold on. Let me get a bigger image of it.
Okay.
Adele Verflichtet. It's ridiculous, man.
It really is. Adele
really
Verflichtet.
Is that hoity-toity?
This is hoity-toity. This is hoity-toity. Also known as there's a few other names for it, but this is hoity-toity. And apparently the original Japanese, the original German title, and I finally got it. So we would have talked about this because this is a Klaus Teuber game.
Yeah.
But we haven't gotten that yet. But now, one more down, and one more on our list of games that I need to buy for the Spiel because of Monday, which we didn't get a chance to talk about.
Yes, Pictures winning the Spiel des Jahres, as well as the Crew winning the Kinderspiel.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, you really did call it on that. I mean, now I got to buy Pictures. I was probably going to anyway, in all honesty. It looks fun.
The problem with that is that you can't find Pictures anywhere. You've looked.
Yeah, on that day, yes. I mean, I had the opportunity to buy it. When they first announced the Spiels, that was the only one in stock out of the 3. So I was like, I could have bought it, but it was up in the air, so I didn't want to yet. So that's, have you gotten any new games or anything that you want to talk about, or?
Haven't got anything new lately. Have been playing Ascension on my phone, just when I need to pass some time. Have been playing the app.
Sure.
But the main thing is I'm going to try to go pick up Pan Am tomorrow.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
I'm very intrigued with it. I'm going to, and it goes with our list. I'm not a huge economics game, but everything I researched about that one looks really good.
Very cool. Yeah, I want to try it. It looks just right up my alley. Worker placement, like bidding though. It has
bit of bidding, but it's mainly like stockpile in a sense because you're trying to win the most shares of Pan Am.
Yeah.
Because they're buying everybody out. You're just these little airports that are trying to do it most efficiently.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get started with our list then. So we asked everybody, what are your exceptions to the rule? And we got quite a few responses. Do you want to start us off, Daniel?
Sure thing. Ryan says he's not a big fan of sci-fi themes, but Cosmic Encounters is the greatest game of all time, and there shouldn't be any other theme. I beg to differ, though, because from everything you've said,
yes,
and
Iron
for
Throne
gaming purposes, the Game of Thrones actually works very well.
Yes, yeah, I think that's one of the few themes that does make sense with it, especially IP. I wouldn't think of any other IP that could fit with those mechanisms. Scott said Firefly the game was one of the first licensed properties that felt like a real board game and showed just because it's a licensed property, it doesn't have to be mediocre. Now, I know you don't care much for Firefly the game, but
I don't hate it like you think I do. I'm just not, because all it does is give me the pick up and deliver aspect of Firefly, not the whole. Like I said, Western Legend meets Firefly would be amazing because it gives you that whole open world feel that Firefly should have.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I mean it's what got me into Firefly, so I will give her credit for that. It was a fun game overall.
And then the big thing with that is, I agree with what he's saying. Firefly was probably one of the first licensed property games I've ever played, but everything I hear is Battlestar Galactica is the one that got a lot of people more to register that IP can be a good thing. Right.
I just feel like that cemented it. That was definitely the exception for like Gale Force 9. They that's what set them apart, you know.
Yeah, where they actually made really good licensed games.
Yep.
And they still do. There's another one, I think Gale Force 9 did it, that Firefly World's called Browncoats or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That I've heard is really good. So I got to try that one.
Yeah, definitely.
So, going on, Juan says he's not a big fan of co-ops, but he loves his Flashpoint and Elder Sign.
Yeah, both incredibly thematic co-ops. That's probably what it is. I mean, it's definitely more thematic than Pandemic is, right?
Well, Elder Sign isn't really that thematic. However,
that's true.
Flashpoint is.
Flashpoint definitely is. Elder Sign, but it's not overbearing, too.
It's not overbearing. Eldritch Horror is more of the one that's very thematic. Right. Whereas Elder Sign is just the faster game. Like, you can play Elder Sign within an hour.
Oh, yeah, easily. Anthony said, Quacks of Quedlinburg. I'm not a fan of high-luck competitive games, nor am I a gambler, so I don't like pushing my luck. But Quacks, oh, Quacks, such an amazing fun game. I couldn't agree more.
I agree wholeheartely. I love Quacks of Quedlinburg. It's not an exception to the rule for me. I don't mind any of the things that it does. It's just, it's a fun game.
Yeah. I agree with him on one part of it, though. The fact that he said he's not a gambler, and that's why he doesn't like press your luck, that makes a lot of sense. I remember I used to love going to casinos. I loved casino culture when I was collecting playing cards, and I didn't mind gambling. I didn't love it, but I didn't mind it. But now ever since I got into board games, I can't go to a casino and enjoy myself anymore. I'm like, well, where's my choice in this slot machine?
Yeah.
Like, I push a button and sometimes it yells at me. Like, that's about it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I get it.
It,
But moving on,
hmm
Zion says he doesn't like dexterity games, but I absolutely love the pressure of stacking dice while your palms are sweaty. The timer is so close to running out in the game of Fuse.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I may be talking about it a little bit later.
All right. Kevin says Cthulhu Death May Die. I have tried numerous Cthulhu games, and this is the only one I truly enjoyed.
I did like it. It's actually a really good game, and I liked what they did. Whereas, like a game like Eldritch Horror, it literally takes all the lore from the H.P. Lovecraft books and try to put them into a game. Whereas Cthulhu Death May Die took the creatures from the H.P. Lovecraft lore and
Yeah.
made their own lore out of it. And
Yep.
I think I like what Eric Lang was going with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Rhett says, while playing Drama Glom, you're penalized for laughing inappropriately. The exception is if you draw the card calling for laughter. Never even heard of that game.
Yeah, Drama Glom. Huh. Yeah, it's interesting. Mandy says, I am terrible at trick-taking games, but I do well with the crew.
I love trick-taking games. I'm not very good at some of them, so I understand what she's saying. But yeah, The Crew is actually a really good game. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. One of these days I will make you play Pepper. I guarantee you and I will play Pepper one of these years.
All right, Joseph. I hate people, but enjoy playing games with them.
All right.
I
Jeff,
think my wife would agree with him.
right? He says, I hate auction games, except for Isle of Skye, which is Carcassonne, the auction game.
Yeah.
And it's less of an auction game. It's more of, I think you might actually like it too. You basically just set the price, and then in turn order, people can buy either or a tile from someone else, but otherwise you have to pay for your tiles.
Well, Chris says he doesn't like racing games, but Odin's Ravens is the exception. Fast gameplay, clever hand management, and course manipulation. Beautiful little abstract game.
Huh. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one, but he said abstract, so I'm interested.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's got abstract in there.
Yep. Stuart says, I don't really get much enjoyment out of directly adversarial competitive games. Yet Netrunner, I have always liked playing. Yeah, 100% direct adversarial competitive game. So like 2-player head-to-head.
Like Magic,
yeah,
Forge
Magic.
right above us, yeah,
Sure.
that sort of stuff.
I agree with them. I like Android quite a bit.
Chin says he doesn't like broken games, but he likes QE.
Yeah, you get why he says
Which,
it's broken.
yeah,
It's because there's no limit to it's an auction game, but there's no limit to what you can bet. It's such a bizarre idea that
it looks interesting. It really does. I do want to give it a shot. I'm not a huge fan of auction games, as you know, but I want to see how this goes.
it was shipped to me it was shipped recently. I should be getting it.
Nice.
So we'll see. Sebastian says, I loathe games where you can finish the game with 0 points when you have worked hard to gain them, but a rule even if not random, reduce you to 0 points or keeps you from scoring. Go figure, when I die in role player while facing the final boss, I find it funny. We experience that with Patchwork. It's like sometimes you'll end up with just 0 points or negatives even.
And I can understand why people don't like that. Role player, I think, is a really good here. I really dig role player. I still need to get Fiends and Familiar to the table. I haven't done it yet. Again, I just been doing other stuff rather than playing board games.
I find it funny, like the games that take, like 3 or 4 hours, and it's like, oh, first one to 3 points wins. It's like, well, why even call them points at that part,
Yeah. So Per says, in the Year of the Dragon, my only failed game. Sadly, I have not played any of his other games, but they don't really appeal to him at all. However, in the Year of the Dragon was really cool. I've read this a bit different from the rest of his games. It's a bit different, and it is.
Yeah.
This was probably, in the Year of the Dragon, when we played it, it's probably one of his meanest games.
Yes. One of the things that I think Feld does well is the fact that he will take a completely off-the-wall new mechanism and make a game around it. And that's what In the Year of the Dragon does. You know what's going to suck throughout the entire game. You know what's going to hurt. You're going to have to deal with it. Who can manage it the best?
Yep.
Cool. Trey says Planet X and Pulsar 2849 Space. I'm guessing they don't.
I'm a big fan of Space Theme, but likes those two games. I haven't played Planet X. I own Pulsar. Such a good game.
Yeah. From what I understand, they're both very abstract, though.
Yeah, the theme doesn't really come out, but again, Pulsar is a Euro game in space, so...
Yep, Vlada Chvátil. Yeah, exactly.
Steve says Imperial Salt, because he loves Star Wars, but is a great game.
Wow.
And I think the big part of why he likes Imperial Salt is just a reskinning of Descent, so he probably would like Descent just as much.
Yeah.
It's just that it streamlined Descent 2nd Edition very well, so... My prediction for the Fantasy Flight is I agree with Tom Vasso when he says I think Descent 3rd Edition is going to be announced.
Yeah, probably. Vanessa says Rivet Wars. Had a hard time with any war strategy game. Looking at you, Memoir 44. And for some reason, I'm just really into Rivet Wars. I won all the expansions and every argument with my husband to be determined on the battlefield. What a great outlet.
I've actually never heard of Rivet Wars, so that intrigues me a little bit.
I'm kind of the same way. I don't really care for like chit-based like war games, but like Ogre is amazing. It's not on my list, that's why I'm saying it now. But I get what I'm willing to play them. It's not that I
do want to
hate
try
them.
Memoir 44 for my personal takes. I love Days of Wonders game, and World War II was a topic when I studied history that I was very fascinated with.
Okay.
Just because my grandfather was in World War II.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And then our final one, Alex says, party games feel so lame to me, but I had to hand it to A Fake Artist Goes to New York for stirring conversation and paranoid thinking in a way that's accessible to most people.
Yeah, it really does do a good job of that. The only thing that I don't like about A Fake Artist Goes to New York, and this is one of my biggest drawback with party games, is that only one person is adding to the drawing at a time, and sure, you're kind of like watching them, but you don't necessarily have to, because they have their own colored marker, and it's such a small drawing pad. You know, it's a little weird, but I do like that game a lot.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Never played it, so I can't really say anything about it. So you ready to get started on our list here?
Yes, absolutely. So, exceptions to the rule. As I said, I'll go ahead and start this time, since you definitely had them ready.
Oh, yeah.
Mine were a little different. I'm going to start with the one that I already kind of referenced. I really dislike this IP. I've never been a fan of anything that's Harry Potter before, with the one exception of Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. I brought it home because we had it for a demo at the shop, and I told my wife, like, look, you like deck building, you like Harry Potter, let's play it together. This is something that you and I will probably enjoy together. And if the mechanisms are sound enough, then hey, I'll probably like it too. And sure enough, the design was solid. It was a good game. I enjoyed the game enough where I didn't have, and I wasn't flooded with a whole bunch of Harry Potter references. It didn't penalize me for not knowing Harry Potter. It penalized me only if I wasn't a good deck builder, which I already knew I was okay with. So therefore, the game was tolerable, and I can encourage people who do like Harry Potter, go play that game. If you don't care about Harry Potter, play Toy Story. That's
it's the same thing.
Truth
Toy
of the matter.
Story does fix some of the flaws that Harry Potter
Yep.
had.
Yep.
But I do dig the mess out of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
We have a couple friends that me and the wife used to play with before lockdown happened. We haven't seen in a while. We talked to them through Zoom and stuff like that. But yeah. We're going through the first expansion, the Monster Book of Monsters. There's a second expansion apparently coming out here soon. I think like the House Cup or something like that expansion. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. But the Monster Book of Monsters is just ridiculously hard.
I believe that.
Past the first book, we played it like 3 times.
Uh-oh. And that makes me worried. I don't think that they're going to come out with an expansion for Toy Story.
Well, they don't really have anything to go with from what you're saying. If there's 6 scenarios, that includes the 4 movies plus the 2 standalone
short
stuff
films
that was like on ABC.
Yeah, which I don't think I've seen before, and I didn't quite... I want to say that...
I want to say they're on Disney Plus if you want to check them out.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check them out for sure. The Disney shorts. I might have seen them. I have more insight to them now, but that's probably what it was.
Yeah. I did enjoy those shorts. They were actually pretty good. So the first one on my list was already mentioned.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, you like
and that
space
is and
games.
it's real time slash speed.
Views, yeah.
Yes, I'm not. Real time up. What is it? The one that's coming out from Stonemaier Pendulum has me intrigued, and I'm getting a
Mhm.
little bit more into real time. I'm okay with. It's speed games that drive me insane. But Fuse is such an amazing, fun game, and for being a 10-minute game, it's. I have such a good time. I get anxiety from it, but I thoroughly enjoy it.
There was a game that I have. I'm trying to remember the name of it. That I don't remember if I had shown you, but you're trying to lay out cards in like a specific code. And it's a cooperative real time game. You have like 3 minutes or something to do it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
wonder if I wonder if you'd like that. I bet you would dig it. It's basically set collection.
But yeah, Fuse though.
Cool. So my next honorable mention is you, and you claim this about me more than most people, is that you claim that I don't like any Ameritrash games. That's very untrue. If you look above me, Ogre is definitely Ameritrash, and I have a lot of exceptions to that rule, but I think the one that definitely kind of personifies it is I don't care much for Cthulhu themes, and I don't care much for Ameritrash games, but Mansions of Madness is legitimately a really solid, good game. It has the fun little puzzles that intrigue me. It has, like, I mean, sure, I can get into the role playing of it, that I could be like, yeah, like right now, I'm gonna barrel through that door. Like, let's just see what happens. Hope for the best. I'm a tank, so I'll hope for the best. So I do like it. And I just realized one that fits way better into my list than one of my others, so I'm gonna replace it now. So go ahead.
Sounds good. But yeah, I do think Mansions of Madness is probably one of the best Cthulhu games out there. I thoroughly enjoy Eldritch Horror, which is right over my shoulder here. I don't know if they can see it because your screen might be in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can see it. It's right over my shoulder. You're just covering up Charterstone a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah.
I do dig it. But Mansions of Madness, the app makes things so much easier when it comes to playing it.
Yep.
So my second honorable mention, and there are a couple of games in here that I also like that has this feature, which is negotiation. But the one I picked is actually my favorite game that has negotiation in it, because it's not just negotiation. And so the other games that you can figure out is Cosmic Encounters, Bonanza, and
Sure.
what is it? That one, Sheriff of Nottingham is the other one
Okay.
that I have written down here. I gave myself a little cryptic, and I had to remember. But the game I chose is Rising Sun.
Okay.
Probably one of my favorite dudes on a map game from CMON and stuff like that. There is negotiation, but it's not a small part of it. It's important that you actually negotiate, because in the very beginning of every season, you make an alliance with another player, and you got to talk them through, like, hey, these are the choices that I have. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Do I betray them? What's going on here? Stuff like that.
You
So it's
betray
very
him.
important to have these negotiations and stuff like that. So
Yep.
I thoroughly enjoyed Rising Sun, but it's not the only thing in the game. But that's also why it's in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, that makes sense. And my last honorable mention, I put because it's a negative, and I really wanted my top three to hit. I have liked every game this designer has come out with, except one.
What's the designer?
Stefan Feld.
Oh, it's that little younger kid game. I forget, we talked about
It's
it. I can't
called
remember the name
It
of it.
Happens.
Yeah.
It's the whole premise of it. And I'm looking at it right now. I see it right there. I don't say that I hate it. Right? I don't hate it. It's okay, at best.
Fell doesn't really make good family games, apparently, from what you're saying.
It's a dice rolling game where the higher you roll, the better you are. So think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
You are
You're
better.
beholden to luck.
Yeah, if I roll sixes and you roll ones, I'm gonna win.
You know who does that well?
Huh.
Jamie Stegmaier with Euphoria, because if you roll well, yeah, you're going to do better, but then you might lose the dice.
Yeah, but then you'll probably be penalized, right? And well, like, so he has another game, Bora Bora, that I haven't played yet. But from what I understand, the higher the number, the better the action you take, right?
Yeah,
But
which is that makes sense.
Right, but you can only play lower numbers on that action than previous players. So if you take, like, let's say the travel
So
action
if I
with a
roll a
5,
6 and you went a travel action at a 4, I'd
yeah,
have to take a 3, 2, or 1.
yes. Yeah, you'd have to take a 3, 2, or 1. Or, I mean, well, you wouldn't be able to with that die alone. You would have to choose a different action that I haven't taken, or there is a generic action that's fishing, and you get 2 points for whatever
That's
number you throw at it.
I'm
So,
telling you, I think, because we've talked about this, I think
mhm.
New York City will be Bora Bora's reprint.
I can believe that. It's sounding more and more likely every time we talk about it. So
Yeah.
I totally believe it. It's just like that's bothersome to me. The fact that it happens, it's literally, you're stacking dice that are higher in rank. The higher up the
Yes.
anthill you get is based on your number. So it just doesn't make sense otherwise. So I don't know. I was pretty disappointed. Maybe I need to give it another shot. You and me need to play it again and see.
I haven't played it, so
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure.
Well, I need to play it again, and I'll show you, being another Stefan Feld,
Hell
and
yeah.
and you and me can decide whether it's just maybe I misread the rules or something, because I want to give it another shot.
So much so that I wasn't even in like major Kickstarters. I was only in a little bit in these things, like $1 and
Yep.
$5. I canceled everything because Feld has a Kickstarter coming up with Queen Games. So
Yes, I did too.
I'm like, yeah, nope. Gotta
Just
jump on
because I don't know how much it's gonna be, but I know I need to buy it,
that. Yeah, exactly.
and they'll probably offer Merlin while we're at it, and I gotta buy that too.
Yeah, well, Queen's pretty good about that, offering other games. Well,
Yeah, you say they're pretty good at it. That's their business model.
yeah, cut out the middleman. Don't go through distributions or stores. Let's just do
Yeah.
it this way.
Let's just do it this way. Hey, if it's working, I mean, it's a family of people in France or Germany or something like that. That
Something
Queen
like that. I
Games.
think the printers in Germany too. So
Yeah.
there's that.
So they're not huge, but
And they're pretty quick about it
hmm
because Merlin is supposed to be like the big box stuff is supposed to be in backers' hands by November,
yeah.
and it only went earlier this year. So we'll
Well,
see. I mean, there's
yeah.
probably going to be delays, but still, that's pretty quick. That's a quick turnaround.
Exactly.
Mind
Yeah.
you,
It's a
most of the
pre-order
games are already
system.
ready to go. They just need to know how much they got to print.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I'll be backing that going into
All right,
Feld.
so for my last honorable mention is a game that not a lot of people, or a type of game not a lot of people talk about, because the big boy in this one, the classic game Scrabble, which is a word game. There's a lot of people who don't like word games because some they can't spell very well. Others because they have a medical condition that causes it difficulty. Just kind of like you and me have color blindness that
Colorblindness.
makes it
Sure.
difficult for us to see colors. There are people who have dyslexia that make word games very hard for them to play.
Yep.
But the game I've that actually is probably the only word game I will play, and that's Hardback. I thoroughly, and it's right over there,
Yeah.
my signed copy. And I really enjoy it. And the big part of it too, it's a word game, but it's also a deck builder. So it's not like Scrabble where it overstays its welcome, or you're trying to set yourself up on that triple word score or something like that.
Yeah.
This one is really nice, and the big thing I like about it is you can ask for help. You can use a card as a wild to just spell your word. You can also ask for help, and all you got to do is pay someone in ink. And so I really do enjoy that. So, and there's a little bit of push your luck aspect. Do I draw this out to see if I can get more letters because I know what's in my deck?
Yeah.
So I do thoroughly enjoy it.
I used to consider that an exception to the rule, but I've since found 3 games that I think are really fantastic letter games. One of them is Letter Tycoon. Because it's more of a stock market game.
Yeah.
Because the more valuable the more common the letters, the more valuable their stock is, and so it's whoever gets the most money. So that's pretty cool. Worderific, which is more of a party game like Snake Oil, and there was one other word. Byword from Sid Saxon, and that's just yeah,
Yeah.
it's Sid Saxon.
Yeah. I just don't play a lot of word games, and a big part of it too is because of Scrabble. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind Scrabble as much as other people
Mhm.
do, and I'm a prolific reader, so it's not much of an issue for me. But yeah, I
Yeah.
get why people don't like it.
Sure.
And we do have a mutual friend that does suffer from dyslexia, so it's not a game that I can bust out all the time with him. But at least with Hardback, there's ways to mitigate it. He can ask for help. He can ask for using different cards to make wild and stuff like that. So there is
Yeah.
ways to mitigate that issue.
Yeah.
And if you're good at a deck builder, you're going to like the deck building part of it.
True. Yeah. I didn't hate it. I don't remember liking it all that much, but I get why
But then
people
again,
wouldn't
you're
like
just not a big fan of word games in general.
Yeah,
There
I'm
are
really
a
not.
few that you'll like.
There are a few. Yeah, and it's
All
more
right.
because it's just they're more money management, it seems.
We're getting down
Cool.
to the nitty gritty. We're almost done. Halfway there.
All right, I
Down to the
think
top three.
yeah, our top three would pass our honorable mentions, and I think this is worth us guessing. You and I actually already talked about our number one, so we kind of know what those are.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna let you guess
I
mine.
kind of forget what your number one is, but I know what my number one
I
is.
will tell you how it's an exception, and you're gonna be able to tell me the game. But and same for my number three. I don't typically like roll and move. I don't think roll and move is a very good a good mechanism. And technically, you are rolling in this one, but it's also one of the oldest board games known in existence, and that's because the roll.
Ah.
Yeah, the reason why it works well for roll and move is because you have multiple pieces, and you want to group them together. You don't want to break them apart. So the rolling will sometimes give you that ability to kind of leapfrog them so they're staying together, or you have to sometimes move one and just run for it and hope for the best. And it does everything that you would imagine a roll and move does, but it's good. Like it
So
never comes
my
down to it.
guess is Senate.
Senate. Yes. Nailed it. Yeah, Senate is just a phenomenal game. It's one of it hands down. I will still play it. I'm sad that people don't play it anymore, and I'm working to fix that because it really is a game that should still be around.
I don't mind it. It's not that bad. For me, roll and move is Merlin. Merlin, I really do like
Hmm.
because the way things get mitigated, the way things work. So, do I move this, or do I decide to
Yeah.
make my Arthur? Do I do it spitefully, or do I do it well? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I know you could pick Merlin and you really want that piece, but I don't want to. I want to make sure I got to make it difficult for you to get there.
Right.
Maybe I'll move Merlin backwards, and
Yeah.
that's going to help you no matter what where he lands. So.
Yep, exactly. No, it does a really good job. It's the fact that there's multiple pieces to choose from.
Yeah.
Like I've always considered this like when a roll and move is only bad when you roll a set amount and you move one piece. Takes out all the choice. If like Monopoly, if you had two pieces on it, immediately it would make it like 10 times better because
Yeah,
you
the,
would choose
the
which
thing I
piece to
like
move.
about Merlin is that you only have two pieces to move: your piece and Merlin.
Right.
That's the main thing. But you get three dice to choose from just for your piece alone.
Yep. Another
plus
variable.
the Merlin die, and then in the expansion with Arthur, there's another piece that moves.
Yep.
And that has its own die that moves too.
Yep.
So.
So that's another
I like
variable that you get to choose from.
Yeah.
So like
And what I like about it is
love
that
it.
your piece can only go clockwise, but Merlin can go both clockwise and anti-clockwise.
Yep, exactly. So perfect. It could be done, and that's why that's an exception to my rule.
Yeah, and I disagree with you. Senate is a fun game. Just haven't played it in a long while.
Yeah, we'll have to play it again.
And I love the fact that it's reads rather than die. You move
Yep,
so many.
you flip sticks basically. Before dice were invented, so what can you do?
Yeah. So my first honorable mention and my number three, I guess you can say, on this list. You're gonna guess it once I tell you what it's in, what category it's in. But
Okay.
I'll give you a game that people compare it to in a sense.
Okay.
Camel Up.
Okay, so you don't like racing games, that's right. And I already know it's Downforce because you love Downforce.
I love downforce, and I think a big part of it too is there is a bit of bidding, but it's not important. You're
Yeah.
just bidding on your drivers and stuff like that, and then that's just before the game. You just have to be smart about it because it's negatives at the end of the game. But I love the way the game plays because even though your driver's not doing well, you still have a chance of winning because you're betting on said racers.
Yep.
So. I dig this game so much. It's probably one of my favorite restoration games, if not my favorite restoration game, as well as my favorite racing game. It's one of the. Someone says, "Hey, let's play Camel Up," or "Let's play that horse racing game." I'll be like,
Maybe.
Whereas someone says, "Hey, let's play Downforce." Oh, I'm in. Let's go.
Yep, let's do it. I can't wait to show you Quest for El Dorado.
Okay.
Really deck building racing.
But for, like I said, for my exception to the rule for racing games, it's Downforce, hands down.
Hands down, Force. Yeah, no, that was one of those games that as soon as I played it, I was like, darn it, now I gotta go buy this because it's so good. And I still haven't played my own copy. That's the sad part. I own it. I'm a proud owner of Downforce. I haven't played it yet. Maybe I'll bust it out and make my kids play it tonight.
I haven't even played my own copy of it. It was because I played everybody else's copy that when there was a deal on it, I went and picked up my own copy. I paid like $20 for it.
Yep, exactly. So my number 2, and so just to clarify how I ranked these is I took the amount of either dislike or like of the category, theme, mechanism, whatever,
Yeah, same.
and the range from how much of an exception this has to be. And
Same.
so my number
That's why
2,
my number 1 is my number 1.
yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So my number 2 is a storytelling game, and I completely loathe storytelling games.
Yeah.
I've never had fun with them. The more improv of story making you have to do, the less constriction or the less like lead in that you have. If it's just like Rory story cubes, hate those because you just roll dice and you make a story up about it. Like, who cares? Why would anybody want to do this? Dixit. That's one of the reasons I don't like it. I like the mechanism.
I think I know which one this is. Is it Grim Forest?
No, because Grim Forest is definitely not a storytelling game. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And neither is Grim Masquerade, which I can understand.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah. Okay.
No, that's a solid deduction game, but it's not. No, it's not storytelling. This, we interviewed the publisher of it.
Wait, have you played it? Because at the time we haven't played it yet.
Which one?
For the Stars?
Before There Were Stars. Yes, I played it.
Stars. Oh, that's
So
right.
good.
You played it at Gamma.
Yes, and I had to buy it. It was really good.
Yeah, no, I was thinking it was going to be that one, but I'm like, I don't know if he's played it.
Yeah, it's it. If there is anybody who has any kind of apprehension to storytelling,
yeah, I'm not a big fan of storytelling.
Solved it.
I do want to try that one. When we interviewed him, that sold me on it.
Yes.
I was like,
and so you haven't played it, right?
Especially since I haven't played it. Especially since it's kind of like you're making that mythology with the stuff that's coming out there. That intrigues me so much.
Yep, that's staying in my collection. Oh, Mission X Code. That's the one I was talking about. The co-op
code
one.
That's right. You have shown me that one.
Yeah. No, yeah. Before There Were Stars by Smirk and Laughter is just such a good game. First off, the dice, you have a set of dice of what you roll, and those are the stars. Already, it's the cool theme, cool mechanism. You have to use those stars to buy constellations and create myths based on them, but you're given the intro to how you want to make your story. You're like, before there were anything, the beginning of the universe, blank, you fill it in, and then you make up based on which constellation you pick the story. And you're not rewarding people for like who makes the best story around. No, that's not it. It's you're giving points based on how much you enjoyed one moment, and like and at the end there's a really impactful thing where you're giving them a single point, which probably won't sway the game at all, but you're saying, I enjoyed this moment, I thought this was phenomenal. It doesn't matter whether like it made you cry, it was beautiful, it was the funniest. There's no restriction. It's just you're using that as a complimentary piece to somebody. Man, does that make you feel good. It's good. I can't describe it enough.
Try it. I really do. I keep looking at it every time I went to the shop, and I'm like, I need to pick that up. I just haven't.
And it would be perfect for students, and it'd be perfect for drama class, and anything really. It's a really good creativity.
It would be good for like improv classes, basically, if you're doing like introductory improv.
Or even English or writing classes, getting that creative outlet, storytelling.
Let them be creative, yeah. No, I don't disagree. Because it puts a game around storytelling rather than just a storytelling around a game, I guess you could say.
It's a good game, too. Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. So, that's my number 2.
So, looking forward to it. And my number 2 is, again, bringing back an old podcast. But this one was last week.
Okay. So, last week, are we talking auction bidding?
Auction games, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
You already know who it is.
Jorvik?
No.
I mean,
that won.
Oh, the one that won. That's right, because you actually... For Sale, yeah.
For Sale, yeah. I thoroughly enjoy For Sale. It's probably my favorite auction game. Jorvik is a surprise to me, don't get me wrong. But to me, it is an auction in a sense for Jorvik, but it's more of, I'm going to make it really impossible for you. It's to me, I feel Jorvik is more take that-y than it is auction.
Sure.
Because you're messing with the other players just much as you're helping yourself too.
Yep.
Because sometimes there was points where I was forcing you to play against our mutual friend Dom in Jorvik. Just be like, well, you're gonna have to play there, or he's getting 15 points.
Right, and you were forcing me to play my hand and go, but you're right, because I'm later in turn order. You forced me to do it. You're right.
Yeah.
You jerk. Yeah, you're right. It is more take that, but it's fun.
Don't get me wrong, it's fun. But for me, the exception to the rule when it comes to auction game is for sale for two reasons. One, it's quick.
Yeah.
And two, it's very simple. You're buying this in this round. You're using this to buy these properties. These properties are now being used to buy or make as much money as possible. Whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins. Yep. Basically, the monies are points.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah,
and then
it doesn't get much better than that. You know, in fact, not only did it win that Friday, I had my game night. You know, we went online and played a couple games. We played for sale on Board Game Arena. It's so good. Oh my god!
It's such a good game. It made you go, I want to play that again. So you probably mentioned it, huh?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so, and I
wouldn't
kind of promoted it
again. I really enjoy it. I wouldn't mind picking myself up a copy. That's how much I enjoy it.
Okay, well then we'll have to make that happen. At RinCon, Eagle Griffin Games is based out of Arizona, so
yeah, I am not going to any conventions for at least a year.
Oh, I'm talking next year.
Oh, okay, I was gonna be like,
yeah.
There's a certain thing that's going around right now. I'm not risking it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Con crud.
Yeah, it gives a whole new meaning to con crud.
Yep. And so my number one, you definitely know what it is, and the truth is, I mean, I had an argument with my cat earlier today. My wife's cat, I should say, because that little creature is a jerk. It comes up to you. I open the door to take the trash out, and it's meow meow. It runs inside, all like, oh well, you have to. And then it does like this fake stretch thing in front of the door, like it waits at the door. Like it's like, I know why you want to come in, and it constantly like it acts like it cares about you. And every cat owner knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's acting like it cares about you, where I know its bowl is empty. That's all it is. Because as soon as I feed it, suddenly it doesn't have affection anymore. Weird how that works, right? I can't. It's so obnoxious. And then as soon as it's done eating, it's like, good, I got my fill. Meow meow, waiting by the door. It's like, you just came in, and it was already a problem. No, deal with it. You're on your own now. I don't care anymore. Like, you don't care about me. I don't care about you. This is how we're gonna live. But stop interrupting me, because I'm not interrupting your way of life, you know? It's so obnoxious. So any game that is cat-themed for the sake of cats, it's like, oh, well, it's like a normal Euro game, but nope, I don't care. Because why does it have to be cats? I mean, seriously, there is no reason why you need to put cats into a game. Tempura... You know, cat
this
stack.
Makes me wish they made your game into a cat game.
No, and I'm glad that they didn't, because I'm just glad for obvious reason. Because the reason there was so many cat games was because people like cats, and they weren't selling it because it was a good game. They were selling bad games because they were putting a cat theme on it and saying, "Hey, look, it's a cat game. You'll love it because you like cats." It doesn't justify its own. So, I'm going to segue real quick before I say the game, because there's a video game I want to reference in this, and it's called Cat Lateral Damage. The whole premise of the video game, which I enjoy this game, it's okay, I get motion sick, but I like the premise of this game, because the owners leave for the day, and you have until they come back to cause as much damage as you can, because you're a jerk cat. It's not covering up that fact. It's embracing it. It doesn't justify it in any way. It's saying, oh, cats are going to be jerks because they're going to be jerks. We know this. That's just, if you like cats, you admit that you like suffering and pain, because you know that's what all they're going to cause. So, let's talk about a cat-themed board game that it doesn't sugarcoat it. You are a crazy cat lady. You're just trying to hoard...
It's not Crazy Cat Lady.
Yeah, it's not Crazy Cat Lady. You are just trying to lure these creatures onto You're trying to give them food. You're trying to shelter them to lure as many of them onto your property as possible. That's hilarious.
Crazy cat ladies in the neighborhood?
Yeah, and you're competing. You're stealing them from their neighborhood. You're bringing them over. You're causing all these, and it has so many puns. And it doesn't say that like cats aren't jerks. You know, some of them are affectionate, and some of them are really nice. But it
Let's see if
doesn't.
he does it. Let's see if he does it.
Huh?
Here, kitty, kitty.
Here, kitty, kitty. Phenomenal game. Hold on, real quick. Okay.
He did it.
In
He did
keeping with
something like that,
tradition,
Nate.
that is the. I have a story I want to share real quick that I talked with Justin DeWitt, and I don't know if I brought it up.
You did the podcast too. I
Yeah,
think.
it and when he told me about this game because his company Fireside Games published it, he told me about this game and he was a friend of mine, so I went up to him. I'm like, honestly, tell me real quick. I hate cats. I don't like cat games for the sake of there being cat games. Is this game good enough that I can enjoy it based on the mechanisms? And he said, honestly, I'm not much of a cat person myself. I'm definitely a dog person. We've enjoyed this game a lot. Try it. Make sure you like it before you buy it. But I think you will. And I did. After that gamma, I went home. I had to buy it. We've played it. And since then, my wife bought a cat. So the next following year in gamma, I said, do you remember me asking you this question? He was like, sure, yeah, I remember it. My wife bought a cat because of this. And he was like, I am so sorry. That now we have that animal. And I know why she bought it. She wanted to convince me, hey, look, cats, you love animals, which I do. Like, we get a cat, you'll fall in love with it. No, that thing's a piece of garbage. That thing is a jerk animal. The only reason I tolerate it is because it's now learning that I'm just tolerating it. And it doesn't try and put on the show for me. The only reason.
Yeah, see, I don't mind cats. I'm allergic to them. That's my issue.
Yeah, and that makes sense. You have a very legitimate reason. If I was allergic to cats, which I kind of hoped I was, because I was having really bad allergy attacks after we bought the cat. Turns out I'm not, unfortunately. I wish I could use that as an excuse. It's just that's my biggest exception to the rule. It is a legitimately funny game. It's good. It's enjoyable. Here, kitty, kitty. The only cat game I own. For now.
I would have a jerk cat over an anxiety-ridden dog. Let me tell you, oof.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, I used to have dogs that we had to put sedatives in the water every thunderstorm. I get it. It's hard.
Thunderstorms is not the problem. It's the separation. Like when we have to leave, we have to go through these hoops just to make sure it doesn't terrorize the house.
May I share the story that there's an amazing story, and I'm sorry to belabor this even longer, but so one day you came over, and this was a number of years ago, and I remember you came over for a game day, and we were playing games, and you're having fun. You're like, man, but the dog is fine. It's been better lately. It's not too bad. And then we heard thunder, and you got pale. You started sweating. I was like, why? What's the matter? You're like, I just bought a new TV. This dog is notorious for freaking out when there's thunderstorms. Oh God. And I started laughing. I was like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. You're like, no, there's a reason we have the new TV. It's because of this dog. It's gonna break things. Like I don't want her to break my TV. I was like, okay. So then we got in the car, we rushed right after the game. I was like, all right, I'll drive you home. We got to your apartment and you're like, oh God, oh no. I was like, what? Is the TV there? You're like, I can see the TV. It's fine. I was like, well, that's good, right? You're like, that means she tore down the drapes. It's like, oh my God, amazing. Good point.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I couldn't help but laugh at your misery. I'm sorry.
She's hanging out with the wife, so it's all good.
Yeah.
But my number one honorable mention, let's go ahead and get this over with.
Yeah. Yep.
It's been a nice little podcast, though. We've been doing this one pretty quickly.
This has been silly.
Even with our little side stories.
Sure.
But my number one, you already know what it is. What's the one mechanism I hate?
Social deduction. Yep.
I cannot stand. Not Merlin. What's it called? Avalon.
Yep. Resistance.
What is it? Resistance.
Yep.
Can't
Werewolf.
stand those games.
Yep.
Werewolf. I'm okay with Mafia, but more so because it's a bigger group and I don't really have to concentrate. In fact, I'm drinking during it, so I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
But the one I always have the most fun. In fact, I actually ran a game of this at the shop, and it went over big because you're like, "Hey, I gotta go show these guys this stuff, but they want to play this. Can you show it?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, hands down." And I think that actually shocked you a little bit. You knew I liked it, but when it comes to controlling a social deduction game, you're like,
Mm. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah.
So when I heard good things about it, I'm like, all right, I'll try it out. Enjoyed it.
Begrudgingly.
Bought the Kickstarter, begrudgingly, really enjoyed it. Got the Kickstarter, stuff like that. Got it with the expansion, and it's funny. Our mutual friend Bryce as well got this, and so we played it over at his house for our birthday that we were sharing together because our birthdays are right next to each other. And you were like, "You guys suck." Now I have to go buy this game.
Well, I mean, it was also the situation too. Like, I mean, I won't tell that whole story. That'll be for another, because I'm sure we'll talk about this game in the future. I haven't said what the game is. Why don't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
no, you go ahead and say it. We've been guessing.
It's
stuff.
Deception and Murder in Hong Kong. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love this game. I like it because one, it not only is it a social deduction game, it's a party game, kind of like when I was talking about Mafia. You can play with the expansion up to 13 people. We played a big group at that birthday. I think we did play 13.
Yeah, it was like 7 or 8. No, it was like somewhere between 8 and 10.
Yeah, it was up there though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was close to the 13 max,
Yep.
which is what it can play at with the expansion. And oh my god, it went down so well. So this is how well it went down. My wife, who doesn't like social deduction either, enjoyed it.
Yep.
His wife, who isn't really into big, heavy games, which this really isn't, but like the negotiation and stuff like that, she enjoyed it.
Yep.
To the point where she wanted to drive it at one point in time. Me and Bryce had a good time. And then you were just sitting there like, you suck, because now I'm going to have to buy this game.
Yep. And sure enough, as soon as I found it, it's now mine. Yeah. And there it is, right there on that shelf.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it.
Mine, I think, is right behind me.
Right.
Yeah, because my Simon... where is it?
I don't have enough to justify social deduction in big boxes, so... Yeah, Deception is really good.
Holding up one of my Evertrees.
There you go. Your Evertrees. Yeah, that's a really good pick. And see, as a fan of social deduction, there's a lot of games that I do like. I like deduction more than social deduction. I like figuring out the puzzle and solving the puzzle, which I think for a while, you were lumping those together. You're like, social deduction is it is, but it's not.
Yeah, deduction is not horrible. It's not something I really enjoy, but I cannot stand social deduction.
Right.
And I think it's because since I don't like social deduction so much, when I just hear deduction, I'm like, nope.
Yeah. Where now I'm starting to win you over a little bit. It's like, oh no, this is a pure deduction game. It's not. It's logical.
Yeah. What is that? The one we talked about, Grim Masquerade. That was actually a pretty good one.
Yeah, Grim Masquerade is fun.
Because you're just kind of reading what's on the table, what's been played.
Yeah, you would probably like Sleuth. That one's pretty good. Alibi. That one is pretty good.
An actual really good deduction game that I found out that I like is another good restoration game. Stop Thief.
Oh yeah, Stop Thief, because it can also be played co-op apparently.
Yeah.
Not quite my version, but the newer versions I hear can.
Yeah, it's one I want to pick up, but I know the next restoration game I am picking up for sure. Well, other than the Dark Tower, but and that's going to be the Unmatched expansion that just recently came out. The
Cobble and Fog.
Cobble and Fog.
Yep.
I love classic stories. Again, I said I was a reader, so I want to pick that up. But yeah, so back to what we were saying, Deception, Murder in Hong Kong.
Cool.
My favorite social deduction game. Probably the only one I will play.
Right. And
this truly is the exception to the rule, because this is the only one that I will play in social deduction outside of Mafia. And that's more so because of who runs the Mafia games night, which we haven't done in a while, because he's such a good storyteller with the Mafia.
Oh, yeah. He brings up I felt underdressed that I had to come after work. I had like a polo shirt on or something. You're like, and everybody looked at me like you're all dressed up in like 1920s.
Which one was this? Because there was the black and white one, which was at the old house, but the other one at Aaron's house was...
This was at Aaron's house.
Yeah, that was the James Bond one.
Yes.
We were all dressed up as James Bond.
Yep.
I was Odd Job. The wife was Dr. No, so she was like in white scrubs and a coat and black gloves, and so yeah.
Yeah. And I just showed up.
As, what is it, Lockjaw? The one that has the metal teeth?
Yeah. I think so. I don't know. I haven't seen any James Bond movies ever. Yep. I've seen Austin Powers.
I do enjoy that one too. Yeah. But okay. But not to belabor the point, that was our podcast. We had a really good time with it. Again, we're gonna put a lot of stuff on hold. We're gonna figure out our new schedule, as we said before.
Yeah.
We may just record podcasts without streaming, just to get some podcasts out there.
Sure, exactly.
It just depends on what we can do, especially with the way the internet service is running right now. It's gotten a little bit better, it looks like.
Yeah, it seems like it's gotten a little bit better. It's not even showing me my bit rate anymore. I think it clicked off. Maybe.
So,
we'll see.
But
Oh, yeah. No, I'm in green. So we're good.
Yeah, so the next podcast to be determined will be Top 8 Debate.
Yes.
When
Top,
we decide
no,
to do
it won't be Top 8
won't be this
Debate.
Friday.
Yeah, our next one will probably be starting next week on Monday. We'll probably do the Klaus Teuber one for the following Monday. And then our Top 8 Debate will have to be rescheduled till next week. Just because both of my kids and my wife all have birthdays within a week of each other.
Within a week of each other.
So this week is going to be busy for me.
Yeah. And not to mention the fact that also you got a new job. So
Yep.
Again, if we have to, we will record off stream if it just makes things easier for
Sure.
us as well.
Yep.
And we do love streaming online. It makes it a fun atmosphere because we can interact with people and stuff like that. But if it's something we have to do, we're more than like, say you were like, hey, I got some free time on Saturday, can't really stream because the kids are playing games and stuff like that. Why don't we just record it? Then yeah, we'll just have to do it that way.
Cool. Sounds good.
Because the videos will still go up on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's a given. And the audio podcast can be found on Podbean. And we'll go through all that in a minute. So next week, Klaus Teuber, possibly. Yep. The next Chits and Giggles topic is what games should get the legacy treatment.
Yep. And
I'm
then
looking forward to that one.
The following Friday will be the Top 8 Debate Renegade Games.
Which we were going to do this Friday, but again, on hold. Yep. Which is fine, because I have a backlog that I got to get through anyway. So.
Yeah, got to cut you some slack, right? You're doing all this work for our podcast, and you're like, come on, stop making new episodes. 3 a week is obscene.
That's why I usually say re-uploads are 1 to 2 weeks. So I'm only doing an episode for each thing a week, just because if I try to get everything done, I'm going to frazzle myself.
Yep.
Especially with all the other stuff I got to do around the house.
Exactly. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in today. This has been good fun, and everybody who joined in on our discussion at the Board Game Revolution group at Facebook. Thank you for voicing your opinions as well, and thank you for future questions that we'll be asking soon.
And with that, you can always find the re-uploads of these videos at Everyday Board Games 2020 on YouTube, as well as the audio versions on Everyday Board Games Podcast on Podbean. You can find every link to our social media outlets, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, or Podbean, at EBG Podcast 2020 on Twitter.
Yep, and if you want to join in on one of our live episodes, whenever they happen to be that we stream, that's twitch.tv/everydayboardgames. And if you want to contact us directly, you can email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com. Yeah. And I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's everything.
We finally got it pretty well at once. So, as always, I've been Daniel.
And I've been Daniel.
And we want to thank you for tuning in to Everyday Board Games.
Have a good one.